Hey guys, Daniel here. I wanted to pop in. I haven't been posting readings recently. My iPad's down, but that's not even half of the reason why I've been posting readings. It's been extraordinarily busy. My normal 40-hour a week job, which tends to be more than 40 hours a week. We just did another incredible workshop series with our dear friend Colleen from Angel Wisdom out of Voorhees, New Jersey. It was a wonderful day. We had probably 30 people or more. It was about three 45-minute lectures, me, my wife, and Colleen. Vendor area. It was a really, really wonderful event. I was very happy and blessed to be a part of it. So, it's incredibly hot here in South Jersey, hotter than it should be in spring. Things have been a little nutty at work. So I'm trying to take a few minutes here. I'm coming into my studio tonight. It is Monday, June 15th. I had to think about that. And I was coming in the office tonight to actually work on Chapter 3. I've been delayed in working on the book. I have been doing editing and compiling and transcribing of the channeling. While I'm talking about it, I guess I'll give you a quick book update. So, as the process has evolved, the channeling has actually changed. Originally, I was doing my normal just speaking channeling, and then we would sit and go over the audio and kind of rewrite it all word for word. And then I would do a whole editing process where I would just check punctuation, capitalization, run-on sentences, so on and so forth. And as I started going over, as I was editing, it's almost like they were rewriting it. So what we've done now is I did Chapter 2 this way, and then I'm going back and kind of touching up Chapter 1, because they've started to give these exercises at the end of each chapter, things to do to actually help you get to these steps that they're walking us up in this book. So what they're doing now is it's almost like automatic writing. I'm channeling, but instead of speaking it, I'm physically writing it. And I think what is happening is it's making me slow down, so I'm not making as many grammatical errors that I have to go back and fix when I'm typing. But interestingly enough, when we're typing it from the writings, it's funny, they're still like editing on the fly. And by editing on the fly, I simply mean they'll expand on a specific idea. It's almost like we're getting the rough draft down, and then as we're transcribing, either I'm doing it or I'm reading it off to Eileen, who is typing, because she can type much faster than I can. They're doing live rewrites as we go. So that's pretty interesting. So I'm going to try tonight to at least get some work done on Chapter 3. My goal was to have this book completed. I say my goal. The time frame I was given was to have this book completed for fall, so that as fall, that kind of towards the end of the year, we can start looking for final draft stuff, editing, proofreading, the whole thing that happens after someone's done a book. There is a whole nother process that begins. And, I was never given a time frame as to when this book's coming out or anything else. But the suggestion or the time frame given to me loosely was that my part of the work should be done by fall. So I'm trying to make a commitment here over this week. Things should, over the next week and a half, be a little more settled, and then we're going away for a week. So I wanted to get some work done. So while I was in here, I wanted to pop in and say hello to everybody. Now, an interesting thing has been happening as I've been moving through some of these books and some of the workshops I've been doing, even though they've been Crystal 101 workshops or, Connection 101, things like that. They're introductory workshops to people who are just starting this journey. Typically, it becomes guidance. I'm delivering messages, not messages from loved ones, but tidbits of wisdom from the collective. And a lot of what we're covering in the book right now, a lot of what's been coming through as I've been mentoring people, is about relationships. Not even your exterior relationships, although certainly that plays into it, but the relationships of the interior, because as they're addressing in the book right now is, we exist as three selves, and within that, there's actually two different selves. So to briefly explain that, we have our soul self, which is us as a divine being inhabiting this human body. We have our ego selves, which is not to be confused with ego. Our ego selves is our outward human expression of this existence. It's the clothes we wear, the car we drive, the job we have, the things that identify us as our conscious human mind lives its life. Then we have the ego mind. The ego mind is the consciousness. That is the ego, so to speak. But then within the ego mind, there's two factions. There's the ego mind of truth and the ego mind of reaction, and they're getting into that, and they make it very clear the difference. And the difference basically is the one is a mindset of having every reaction and every thought be accountable to the truth, not only your personal truth, but the universal truths. Whereas the other mindset of reaction is basically taking us through what our knee-jerk reaction, the snarky comment, or the envy, the jealousy, the anger that we have when we have a situation, when we have an exchange of energy with somebody. So someone at work gets that promotion, and you've been there longer, and you work harder than them, and you do much better work, but somehow they got the promotion. That's frustrating. And you may think bad things about that person. You may talk about that person behind their back. You may talk about that person to their face. These are all ego mind of reaction issues. So when the spiritual teachers for years and years and years have been saying about we have to lose the ego, the message that they've been bringing through, the transmissions have been coming through, that was sort of a misunderstood lesson. It's not about losing the ego, because if we lose, and this is what hit me as being so wonderful, if we lose our ego, how can we ever stand in our worth? How can we make statements like, I am worthy of this, or I am a aspect of the divine creator? How can we make such statements? Because some would say they're statements of ego, and they are, but they're statements of ego truth. And a statement of ego truth is not a negative statement, it is not a malicious statement. You are simply claiming your truth, and that can be no other way. So I found all that interesting. So to get to my story, so they're dealing with relationships, how these three aspects relate to each other, and why we want to bring these together in one harmonious existence, which would then be known as our authentic self. When our ego mind, our ego self, both mimic and mirror our soul self. Now we are living as a divine being, having a physical experience, as opposed to a human having an experience. And it is in that is the moment you fully transition and become your authentic self. So because they've been dealing so much with relationships and that, I'm familiar with Esther Hicks, Jerry and Esther Hicks, and they channel a collective known as Abraham. And oddly enough, years ago when I first started this and I was seeking some guidance, I wasn't really sure what was happening. Abraham was one of two, as the person I was speaking to referred to it as houses, one of two houses that work with me. But when I channel, I believe it is a collection of multiple beings. Some may be from Abraham. I also was given the name of Theo, which I understand is another collective or a star being or something. But the point is, it's all the same. But I'm familiar with their work, and I've enjoyed some of their work, but it's not something that's ever really reached out and kind of grabbed onto me. For whatever reason, I was really stuck in the angel realm. I felt safe there. I think that was the biggest thing. But it's the oddest thing. I went out the other day, and it was one of these things. I haven't been feeling well. My back has been out. I've been going through a lot of physical turmoil, and part of that is my own ascension, and I'm neglecting my health. So my body is trying to evolve with my energy body, and it can't keep up. So I'm having physical effects of that. So I wanted to get off the couch a little bit and get out. It was supposed to be my one day I had to rest, but I just wanted to move. I ended up at Barnes & Noble, which I don't go because I'm not an avid reader, so I normally don't go there. And I'm just walking around, checking out the different things. I was looking at the Spanish and like French and German Rosetta Stone products and all. Because one day I swear I'm going to buy one of those and learn a language. And I ended up in that very small nook in, I hate to even call it this, the New Age section, but you know, New Age predates all modern religion. Imagine that, they call it New Age. But the New Age section, and this deck of cards jumped out at me. Now, I'm a big fan of Oracle cards. And this is the Ester and Jerry Hicks, The Teachings of Abraham. And it is called Getting into the Vortex. And if you can see that, it's a deck of 60 relationship cards. And in that moment, when I looked at this, I walked away twice. I walked away and came back. And in that moment, I knew I had to get these. And it was odd for me because I don't think I've ever bought a deck that was not in some way an angel deck. Either a Doreen Virtue deck or there's a few other authors that do make angel decks. And after getting them home and opening them up, they're clearly not traditional Oracle cards. These are more like, you know, you would go to your local guide, whoever it may be, a medium, a psychic, a spiritual guru, and say, you know, I'm struggling with this concept, I'm having difficulties, and they would say, oh, here, just, you know, pick one of these cards and you'll get the guidance you need. But what I found interesting was I really understood that these were coming to me to be looked at and reviewed, and I'm kind of reading them almost like a book, and I'm going through them all to get inspiration for more as the book progresses. We get more in depth into these relationships. It's almost like an inspirational thing to maybe deeper understand the concept, like other concepts of relationships. I certainly have my own. I feel I'm a very good partner. I'm thoughtful. I'm not selfish. But there's other aspects to our relationship than just being a giver or, you know, being respectful. I mean, so they really jumped out at me. I'm really getting off track here. I tend to do that. I do apologize. It's in my nature. So because I'm here and I wanted to make a video and I haven't done a reading in a while, I'm going to pick 3 cards, and they're a little lengthy, they're a little long in the tooth, or long in the words, so to speak. Not that I'm not. And I'm going to draw 3 cards, and I'm just going to put them out there, and however they resonate with you is how they were meant to resonate with you. We're not doing past, present, future. These are not oracle cards per se. So I'm just doing this as I'm doing it like an oracle card reading, but I'm doing it as just something to start working with these cards and seeing how they inspire my brain and maybe give me more vocabulary to work with, perhaps more concepts to work with, because as the channeling comes through any one of you out there, myself, any of the other channels on YouTube, or out, you know, who have books and things out, they're limited by our own concepts and our own vocabulary, because my brain, even though I am channeling them, it has to be processed through my human filter. And it can happen, but it hasn't really happened for me, I guess. They don't really use things that are outside of my concept. They don't really use things that are not within my vocabulary or my vernacular. So I'm limited by whatever my vocabulary is. However many words I know is what they can use. With the concepts that I understand about life and things, that's as far as they can go. Now, they've come through certainly with things outside of what I would consider to be my box, but they've done it with using my vocabulary, using my concepts, but they did it and they worded it in such a way to make me understand, like, wow, that's something, you know, I never thought about. So I really think these cards were meant to be part of this journey for me. So in order to get used to them more and what have you. I'm just going to draw 3 now for the 4th time I've started this now. And just put them out there for you guys and see where it brings us and if these mean anything to you. Okay. So I'm going to try to get these up to the camera. These are all numbered. Now, the interesting thing I did find about these cards is, unlike Oracle cards, they do not come with a guidebook. So I guess they're merely numbered, so if you ever wanted to keep them in a specific order, you always could. Or you could ask somebody maybe to think of a number and draw that certain number. For my intents and purposes of how I do readings, I certainly could add these up and come up with an angel number or a numerology reading, but we're just going to do this. We're just going to read them out today and kind of leave it at that. So the first one we see, it says, it's card number 12. I can attract relationships that agree with my desires. So as I hold the card up to the camera, I'm actually going to read the back. People are not finding it difficult to find the mate of their dreams because that person is not out there. But because, okay, I'm sorry. I was like, wait a minute, it didn't sound. People are not finding it difficult to find a mate of their dreams because that person is not out there, but because of their own contradiction to their own desire in the thoughts they offer about the subject every day. When you consistently offer thoughts about your future relationship that feel good while you think of them, that means you're consistently matching the desires that you have discovered as you have lived life. And under those conditions, only someone in agreement with your desires could come to you. So in other words, it's the law of attraction type thing. You can make a statement, but unless you live it and unless you believe it, it's not necessarily going to attract, like attracts like. So you have to be in that vibration consistently and maintain that idea consistently in order to have the law of attraction kick in. So I can attract relationships that agree with my desires. That's a good mantra. It's a good affirmation you can practice. So the next card is card 24. Others' opinions are less important than my personal guidance system. And that is such a critical thing because everyone is sensitive. We're moving as the energy is shifting and these gates are opening, and a lot of people don't understand, who are not aware energetically or not aware spiritually what's happening. They just know that they're being sensitive. They're starting to have a lot of hard times with everything in life. So more than ever, this is a very important message that you have to go by your own moral compass, your own sense of right and wrong, and not dwell on what all these other people are labeling you or telling you or criticizing you or giving you all the advice. Ever notice how the people that give you the most advice can't get their shit together? Excuse my language. Isn't that funny how that works? Okay. Trying to get that to focus for you. So the message on the back says, you did not intend to use the opinions of others to measure against your beliefs, desires, or actions in order to determine the appropriateness of them. Instead, you knew, and still remembered long after you were born, that it was the relationship between the opinion, or the knowledge, of the source within you and your current thoughts in any moment that would offer you perfect guidance in the form of your emotional guidance system. So again, the way these things are worded, it's kind of, it doesn't really flow as I speak. You did not intend to use the opinions of others to measure against your beliefs, desires, or actions in order to determine the appropriateness of them. Instead, you knew that it was the relationship between the opinion of the source within you and your current thoughts in any moment that would offer you perfect guidance in the form of an emotional guidance system. And then this last one is card number 2. That which is like unto itself is drawn. Again, we're seeing a law of attraction card. Like attracts like. Okay. Now it says, everything that you perceive is vibration, and the life you are living is your vibrational interpretation. The powerful law of attraction is at the root of everything you experience, and the never-changing, always accurate premise of this law is that which is like unto itself is drawn. When you give thought to something, you begin the attraction process of the essence of that subject into your life experience. Once you have activated a thought, vibration within yourself, by giving attention to the subject, the progression of expansion occurs. So they're certainly not oracle cards. They're certainly not cards I've yet really picked up on and been able to look at and just kind of get a message, because I don't believe that's how they're supposed to be used. So far, a little bit I've dealt with them, they are very, very law of attraction-ish. And that's not a bad thing, because that is how the universe works. But I thought they're interesting. So I'm going to tinker with them. I did want to share them with you out there. So, I mean, that's about it. I want to give you a quick update on the books. I wanted to pop in for a hello and share these cards with you. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the iPad situation. I tried to do some fundraising for one. Right now, it's just, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of money going out because it costs money to have these events and go to these places and be of service, so to speak. And we're not ones to charge much for people to attend these things. So, you know, usually it's just about breaking even. So I haven't jumped on the opportunity to spend a small fortune on another iPad. So as far as the readings go, I am going to attempt to get back to some readings here. I'm hoping to get back to the once a week thing at minimal. I did end up importing some stuff and doing it on the iPhone once or twice. It's a little more cumbersome, but it did work. Or I may just come into the studio and do it this way. I know I've got a lot of input that people really like the way I've done it, because so many people do it like this on the internet. But, you know, it is what it has to be. And in the words of Lao Tzu, let things play forward as they may. So with that, I bid you all a fond farewell. And any input anyone would have, I'm going to start trying to bring my physical body more into alignment with my energetic body. Obviously, I got to get back to my smoothies, things I used to do. But if anybody has any ideas out there, if they were in a situation where, you know, they decided one day they were just had to do better for themselves, and it's not about being skinny, it's about being healthy and all that, give me some ideas. You don't have to post them publicly in comments if you don't want to. You can message me, you can email me. But give me some ideas. What worked for you? Was it going vegan, vegetarian, raw, paleo? I've kind of been off red meats other than a random cheesesteak. You know, when I say random, I mean random. But it's I got to start, you know, obviously with the carbs and everything else. My body's sending me very clear messages, and if I don't start listening, it's only going to get worse. So, yeah, the teacher is asking for some guidance. So if anybody out there has any ideas, anything that worked for them, now that the weather is nice, it went from freezing cold to oppressingly hot. Hopefully I can get back out on my Electra Townie. It's a wonderful little bike, well, big bike. Hopefully I can get back out biking, and I got to start back up with the yoga again and all. But if any of you guys have any input you would like to share with me, any ideas or stories, they'd be very welcome. So I thank you all again for watching, for listening, and for following. Again, Daniel at advanceangelcards.com if you'd like to email me. Facebook.com/advanceangelcards. You can message me right through there, or you can comment here under the video. Any way you want to reach out to me, I'm always here. my ears are open. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.